Okay, I haven't done this in a moment, but let's make it happen. Alright, so if you haven't guessed by the title of this video already, this video is heavily inspired by Mr. Who's the Boss. And if you don't know who that guy is, you're really missing out on some solid tech quality content. So here I am taking a page from his book to get you a fraction of the entertainment value that he does, while still keeping it tech, quality, fun, and Big Bad Bird style. Now, speaking of fun, soundbars have become quite increasingly popular over the last years. Now, in my opinion, they started as a bit of a gimmick, just a glorified Bluetooth speaker, but they've actually really grown on me. And when I saw this bad boy in one of the markets in Delhi, I had to get one. As you can see, I got myself a soundbar in this weird green accent color, and the reason for that is pretty solid actually. When I was out on the look for the soundbar, this was pretty much the biggest one I could find, especially for the price. The only other color option available was a really weird yellow color, although this is just as weird, but the others, guess what, were all sold out. So this had quite a lot to live up to. So when I did test the soundbar, because yes, they do let you test things before you buy them, they let me test it, and oh boy, this is a loud, loud boy. When I turned this thing on, it sounded a bit familiar. Let's give it a listen.
Welcome to ante music world. The Bluetooth device is ready to pair.
Yeah, takes you back home, innit? Mad. But when I did look at this and when I read through the box, I thought to myself that this thing, for the price that it is for, it offers a solid amount of connectivity and a balance between the sounds. So you can actually connect a memory card in it. That should be your standard microSD card. You can connect it via USB. Well, it charges via USB-C, which I keep forgetting because I have it plugged in and kept away in my living room at the moment. Plays radio, plays via aux, plays via Bluetooth, and if you're one of those people, you can plug in a mic. It does that. So at the end of the day, it is just a glorified Bluetooth speaker, packed in like a soundbar. It doesn't have anything crazy built into it. There's no LEDs, although you can get an option to get a fully blinged out soundbar, which just looks very bad and very cheap. But believe it or not, it's even cheaper than this. While this being as big as it is, this was so good of a purchase for me, especially for the price, which by the way will be revealed later on in the video when I brought it home and I compared it to the TV audio, because I was only using the built-in speakers for the TV. This was so much better than what that was, that this has now become a permanent part of my living room, sitting under the TV and playing audio via aux. And it does a pretty damn good job at it. So let's quickly get into why Indian tech. Now, I come from a place called New Delhi in India, which houses one of the biggest tech markets in Southeast Asia called Nehru Place. Or, well, it's situated in Nehru Place. This also happens to be the exact same market that Mr. Who's the Boss went to with Technical Guruji while looking at their cheap tech in India. Now, the thing about the Indian markets, especially for tech, is that people don't really care about the brands all so much as long as they get the bang for the buck. The price of tech in India is so cheap only because of the amount of competition that is in the country. There is such a huge market in the country and such a huge demand that there's naturally a lot of competition for a lot of things. You can find a lot of bootleg products from big known brands, which are not actually big known brands. You'll find out about that in just a few minutes. That people would actually purchase those if the price is right. People in India care so much more about the bang for the buck than the actual name of the product itself. So it's very easy for you to find some good quality stuff in India for pretty cheap. And as a result, the competition in the markets keep rising and people are exposed to more and more quality products that get the job done, and they get the job done really good. Speaking of getting the job done really well, this. Now, I'm not actually talking about the watch, but the watch bands themselves. Now, watch bands is something that I'm really keen about. I really love to accessorize my tech, be it my watch with the watch bands, my phone with cases or skins, my laptop with cases or skins, or be it any other thing that I possibly can. So, when I saw that the vendors in the market literally have watch bands of all different watches by the bucket, and I mean it, they literally have a bucket full of watch bands for any watch you can think of, I had to get myself one, or two, or could be a bit more, but I'm probably only going to show you a couple. So I set myself out to get one of these and the one I'm wearing here. Of course, both of these were made specifically for the Galaxy Watch 6 Classic, which the long-term viewers on the channel will already know that I'm really fascinated by, thanks to the Ben 10 style dial. So when I was out on the look for a perfect watch band for my particular liking, now I like my neutral colors, but every now and then I'll go out and get myself something funky and something weird. But when I saw these, and these are not only just your standard 22mm watch bands, but these are made for the Watch 6 Classic, to the point where these bands actually line up perfectly with the curvature of the watch. They fit it absolutely bang on. And when it comes to the quality of these things, I kid you not, these are just as good, if not better, than the originals. Now, if I was to go to the Samsung store and pick myself up one of these watch bands, I'd be setting myself back at about 40 quid. But the price I paid for these two combined, you will not be able to guess. Now, when it comes to the actual quality of these things, if I was to verbalize it as much as I could, these are still silicone, nice and soft and very, very smooth to touch. But at the same time, I thought they would skimp out on the magnets because the one I'm wearing at the moment is held together by magnets. But these magnets are so strong. I've always been skeptical of using a magnetic watch band, but this one I have had on my wrist for well over a month now, and it's given me no issues whatsoever. The adjustment is perfect. It's smooth, it's sturdy, and it doesn't just get loose out of nowhere. The other band that I have here in my hands is a standard lock and buckle band, but at the same time, it's just as good, and the curvature fits the watch just as perfectly. Now, the good thing is that not only Samsung's, but you'll find a range of variety from any Apple Watch, any Samsung Watch, any Oppo, Vivo, you just name it, they will have the brand, they will have the actual watch bands. And not only that, they also have screen protectors, protective films for the watches. I didn't even think that was a thing. So of course I got one put on, but that's not really a part of the video because I did get it sort of thrown in for free. That's how cheap it is. Now, the Indian tech market scene is actually so big and competitive that you will actually find most of this tech tagged at an already unreal price. And I mean unreal in a good way. But there's always a way for you to use your words and haggle down to an even sweeter deal. Now, me with my very limited haggling skills, I did try and get the prices down a little bit more. So at the end of the video, I will put down what the original cost of the price was, how much I haggled it down to and paid for, and what something similar would cost here in the UK, just to see how big a difference it is and how big of a difference you can create just by using your words a little bit more. And I'll be completely honest with you, I did get scammed with one of these items, but that's coming up soon as well. But honestly, with some of these products, you really can't tell how much you paid for these things. For example, how much do you think a pair of really good quality studio monitoring headphones would set you back? And when I say studio monitoring headphones, I do mean these. Although these might look a lot more premium than what they actually are, these are manufactured by a company called Claw, and these particular ones are called the SM50s. Now, these SM50s are actually marketed as high-quality studio monitoring headphones, just like everything else in India is marketed as high quality, but with actually no research or no proof behind it. But when it comes to these are not only really good quality, have a pretty decent clamping force to them, to the point where they definitely feel super secure on my head. They have a padded top or headband and super plush and super cushiony ear cups as well. At the same time, these headphones are entirely made up of plastic. They do feel a little bit on the flimsier side, but that's not something that I personally mind too much. With adjustable headbands to the side as well, these do make it so they can fit pretty much any head out there. Now, in terms of the sound, they have a really solid bass response, and I was so positively surprised when I heard this. Maybe a little bit more on the bassier side than I would have personally liked, just a tiniest bit more, but it's not really a problem to the point where I would just stop liking these. And if I don't even consider the price, they're still a really solid pair of headphones. At the same time, you'd be surprised to hear that these connect in two different ways. I'm not sure if you guys can see it on this angle, but there will be some B-roll on the screen. Now, these connect either via a 3.5mm headphone jack or a tip or a 1/4-inch jack on the other side. Now, for anybody out there who plays an electric guitar, the cable that you use to plug your guitar into the amp is the exact cable you can use with these. And these actually pack so much power that you can plug the tip cable or the 1/4-inch jack on one side of these headphones to listen to something, or maybe monitor real-time audio using your camera, and on the other side you can have a 3.5mm cable connecting into a completely separate pair of headphones, and they can listen to exactly what you're listening to. You can actually kick it up a notch and get one of those 3.5mm Bluetooth connectivity little dongles, and actually use a Bluetooth device on the other side so someone can monitor the audio exactly with you. The best thing about all of that, while adding a little bit more of a cherry on the top, is that both of these cables are actually included in the box itself. I'm talking coiled, rubberized, and a solid length of these cables. One of which I actually have here because this is originally plugged into my mic. But look at this, it's coiled and it's a really high quality cable. This side is the 1/4-inch jack, which is now connected into my mic via a 3.5mm jack. The other cable as well came in the box. I'm just gonna have to drop it there. And it's an entire package. But wait till you hear about the price in the end. But I'm still very curious to know what you guys think I paid for these things. So make sure you head into the comments and start typing your numbers, and do not press that backspace. I really want to know how much you guys think I paid for these. And I want you to find out at the end of the video how much I actually paid for these. So no cheating. Do not press that backspace. And I really think that you guys will be pleasantly surprised. And oh boy, when I say pleasantly surprised, I would say something on the lines of what I felt when I picked up this little guy from JBL. Now, this is probably not actually JBL, but even if it's a bootleg, which it 99.9% is, it is a tiny Bluetooth speaker that I can literally fit in the palm of my hands and have you guessing what hand is it in. This is so tiny that I can actually hide it in my mouth if I was that kind of a person, which I kind of am. So this is actually a Bluetooth speaker that for its size is surprisingly powerful. It packs a decent amount of punch, and in terms of the battery life, this thing actually lasts a little over 2.5 hours, which is really solid. I mean, just look at the size of this thing. Look, and it, of course, it comes in some funky colors. They also went all the way out to actually give it a JBL stamp or a JBL label on it, I should say. But at the end of the day, this is such a nice piece of tech to give to someone as a gift if they're an enthusiast as well. This, just like the other speaker, also powers via USB-C, and it has a really solid amount of rubber grips to the bottom of it. So I don't know where this is going to go anyway, but for the size of it, it does weigh a little bit. I was not expecting it to weigh the weight that it does weigh. I'd say that it weighs about 150 grams, which is still quite heavy for something this size. And just at the bottom, there is the power button. So let's see if this gives us the Bluetooth device is ready to pair. Well, let's just have a solid sound test then. I'm really curious to know what you guys think I paid for this, because I'm sure you guys are not going to be nearly as close. Now, when you're in a market full of tech, no matter the market, the one thing you will always find is smartphone accessories, especially for the iPhone. And this was no different. When I say that these people have thousands upon thousands of cases for an iPhone, I just had to pick one up for my partner. And this is what I ended up going with. After searching from literally hundreds and hundreds of cases, this is what I actually settled on. It's a silicone case, so it's all bendy and that, but it is nice and bulky. It's got these really high quality protruding design at the back. I know these are all just weird faces and a clumsy little character over there, but the loveliest thing about this is that it comes with a built-in pop socket. Now, I'm not really a huge fan of pop sockets, but because my partner is really small and she has some really tiny hands, I thought this is something she could definitely make do with. So I managed to pick one up for herself, and as I expected, she absolutely loved it. Now the bulk, of course, is added onto the phone, but that comes at a very good cost as well. The front actually leaves a little bit of a space between the screen and the floor in case you end up dropping this face first, and it also has a lip at the back to cover the cameras. In terms of how it actually feels, of course, it is a bit bulky, but with that being said, this is actually a pretty solid deal. The buttons are still very clicky, the phone is perfectly aligned, the cutouts are really well made. There is no sign of any corner cuttings in there, just other than the fact that when I received it, they literally just handed it to me just like that. Rather than giving it to me in a packing or in a box or even a plastic bag, I was just giving it like that. Now, because of how far we've actually reached into the video, I'm pretty sure you're liking this list of tech I got from India. just like you're hopefully liking the content I'm making. So make sure you go ahead and like and hit that subscribe button so you can keep supporting the channel, help me grow a little bit, and hopefully have me collab with Mr. Who's the Boss. Now, moving on to the list. Being someone who makes content around consumer tech, I will really use this as an excuse to justify my next purchase because it was an impulse buy. But when I did see this little thing, you might be wondering, what the hell is that? This is actually a phone stand completely made out of metal that can rotate 360 degrees. It just clicks into place. It's all adjustable, so it can get me any angle I want, and I think it makes a pretty solid accessory for the videos and for the desk behind me. At least I hope so. I just want someone to tell me that this was a good purchase. I did throw away a lot of money looking at the cool stuff I could find there. Just like I did with this skin on my phone. Although you've probably seen this all throughout this video, but you probably didn't catch on to it. But although it looks like a skin from a reputed skin maker, but in India, you can actually go to a tech market, give these people your phone, and you've got about 100 different designs to choose from. These people will not actually have pre-made skins, but they will use these glorified stickers, put them at the back of your phone, and cut the skin around your phone. They're not going to do a 10 out of 10 job every time, but they do a 99 out of 100 job every time. Now, these people are skilled. They use flames and they use sharp knives to cut the skin around your phone. And when I was about to hand in my S24 Ultra, I know that these titanium sides are really prone to scratches, and I wanted to make sure that they knew what they were getting into. So the moment I gave them my phone, they were like, okay, listen up. We can do the skin, but we won't be covering the sides. And you know why? It's because these guys know exactly about every phone what the delicate areas are, and they do everything they can to avoid those areas and still give you a pretty solid finish at the back of your phone. Now, these people will make skins for pretty much anything. Your phone, your laptop, your AirPods case, your actual individual earphones, and out of all things, the back of my S Pen. So this guy actually went out to work and just started cutting the skin, and the big question now lies, what happens when I remove that skin? Is that thing gonna leave a nasty residue behind my phone? Or is it just gonna not come out? I believe there's only one way to find out. Well, that was surprising. There was absolutely no residue at the back of the phone, and it was perfectly pristine. Although I did reapply it, which is why I have it here with me. But it's good to know that if I was to take this off, it'll still be good. And just before we move any further, you're not watching this video in 720p. The quality of the skin is just not the best. The resolution on that thing is not great. It actually feels like they went onto Google, made a quick image search, and just downloaded the picture of that and printed it out on a paper which was supposed to be smaller than what it actually was. And they just cut it up into a skin, which is fair play. But with this next item, I was surprised when I found out that you can actually get some pretty high quality skins and you can get them put on your laptop. Now, like I mentioned, they can put a skin on pretty much anything you have. And when they told me they could do a laptop, I did take my own laptop to them the very next day and I got it skinned. Yes, I didn't only get the lid of the laptop done, but I also got the trackpad taken care of. And when he was constantly going on about adding a protective film on top to give it a matte finish, for the amount of money I was going to give him, I thought it was a pretty sweet deal. So this is not just a skin now, it's a high quality, high resolution skin, on top of which is a matte finish coating or another matte finish film with that trackpad covered, which does not have that matte finish skin. But with all of that, he did pitch to me a matte screen protector for the laptop as well. And once again, for the price, it was too difficult for me to say no. And guess what? I got the whole thing fitted up. Now, I've got my laptop and my phone all kitted up. The moment I took my laptop to this guy, he was so quick and absolutely super duper confident to get started on the job. And I just kept watching. I was right there and I kept watching him do his job. And every second of it, I was praying for him to not scratch my things. But with the amount of perfection he was working with, using the same blade and the lighter as the other guy for the phone, this was just incredible to witness. And only if I had more things with me, I would have probably got them skinned as well. But for now, maybe my laptop and my phone are good enough. By the way, we've just finished 9 out of the 10 items on this list, which gives me a pretty good idea that you're liking the content you're seeing. So make sure you hit that like and subscribe button so you can keep supporting the channel. And let's move on to the next one. And this one, the final item, is for the photographers out there. A camera bag. Now, I was genuinely in the market to get myself a camera bag that would not only hold everything I need, but is also high quality and sturdy. And I believe this is the product where I got scammed on, just a little bit. More on that coming up in just a few seconds, but let me tell you about this bag first. This is a sturdy bag coming from a company called Mobius, which I haven't personally heard of, but I didn't really care about the brand because that's how things work in India. I cared more about the sturdiness of it, what it offers, and if it can keep everything I need it to keep. I needed for this bag to hold my camera, my lenses, my stabilizer, my small and big accessories, and most of all, my laptop. I just wanted one bag to carry with me so I can take everything with myself wherever I go. And this is the bag that I found. Now, this is where the interesting part starts. When I went into the store, the mark price or the tag price on this bag was 9,990 rupees, which comes to about £100. Now, when I asked the shopkeeper what the price of this bag was, he says to me that is 3,200 rupees. That equates to about 30 quid. Now, if you look at that margin, that's a solid 70% discount, coming all the way from 100 quid down to £30. Now, you know how I mentioned that you can actually haggle them down a little bit? And with my limited skills, although yes, I'm not the best person out there to haggle, I did try my level best and he didn't really budge. So, seeing how this was the only thing I could get surprisingly in that big of a market, the only good one rather, I picked it up, thinking it was a pretty decent deal. Although I knew that 9,990 rupee tag price is not really the real price, but for 3,200 I thought this was a pretty solid deal. To get something similar like this in the UK, I was looking at about £55. This is, by the way, the only item that I'm going to give you the price of right when I'm talking about it, rather than give it to you at the end, but I'll make do with it. But finally, since I was in that market on the last day of my visit to India, I did have to pick it up because I couldn't have ordered anything like this online at the time. I did look into how much I would be paying for this exact bag on Amazon. And lo and behold, it was 2,800 rupees, which comes down to about 26 quid. Now, all that being said, I know it's just a difference of 4 quid, which is not that big of a deal or should not be that big of a deal. But 400 rupees or £4 in India is not the smallest amount. 400 rupees is good enough for you to get a good few other things for yourself. You can eat off of 400 rupees. You can have a decent meal out somewhere. You can have a lot of street food. But I feel like that's the only thing that I got. A little bit conned on, but other than that, I think it was a pretty solid experience. Even with this bag being 3,200 rupees, I feel like it's such a solid deal. Not only because of how sturdy it is, it holds my 16-inch laptop with no problem, it's perfectly padded. The shoulder straps are actually thick and padded enough to distribute the weight around my entire shoulder, or my entire trap, I'd say. There's also a lot of harness-like contraptions, I'd like to say, that is on the bag, which helps distribute the weight of everything in that bag a lot more on the body itself. With all the zips, and all the secret spaces, all the compartments, all these extra little loops in front of the bag, it just makes a lot of things very easy to carry, let's put it that way, including a little tripod for myself on the side, and maybe even one on the front, and maybe even one on the top, because you do have all these harnesses. Now, with that being said, that was the 10th and the final item from everything I got from India. Now, you let me know what you guys thought I paid for these things, and I'm gonna list the prices onto the screens right now. So you tell me, did you get close to these prices, or were you quite a bit far off? I'm pretty sure some of you guys would be pleasantly surprised as to how much you can get for not so much money in India. With all that being said, I hope you guys enjoyed this video, and I hope to see you guys in the next one. Until then, take care, and I'll see you guys later.